everybody, and welcome to the 18th. Oh, what happened? Oh, I was muted. Let's start this again. Hi, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the 18th annual Damn Short Film Festival. My name is Heather Abel. I am the Director of Community Outreach. This year, we are live streaming our Q&A sessions with filmmakers, and I'm happy to present the International C and D. Woo! And I have to say, we have so many filmmakers in this Q&A. We have an hour. We're probably going to take so much longer, I'm sure, but we have an hour. So I'm going to quickly go around and introduce everybody. I'm not. You're going to introduce yourselves. I'm going to say your first name, and I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourself, what film you're with, and the role that you play. So I'm going to start with Ben.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ben, and I wrote and directed Sin.
And actually, can you also tell us where you are sitting right now?
I am
not
sitting
literally.
At home. I am at home in the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man. I don't know if anyone has heard of the place. It's a lovely island. It's between Ireland and the UK. It's a really nice place. It's lovely, and it's absolutely pouring it down outside. It's lovely, and it's dark, but it's lovely.
And what time is it?
It's 8 o'clock.
Okay.
In the evening.
I stayed up all night last night just so I could be a little tired, so I could
really?
empathize with you guys. Okay, that's not why I stayed up. Very nice to have you, Ben. And Rebecca.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca. I'm the writer, director, and producer of the short film The Finding. I am coming to you from New Zealand, where I am in the future. So I'm on Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes, Valentine's Day. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Well, it's not, you're not there yet, are you?
Thank you, Rebecca. Welcome. And Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Brett, and I am the director of Bottlehead. And I'm currently in London, UK, where it is also 8 o'clock, like the Isle of Man.
Thank you. And Dan?
Hello, everyone. I'm also in the UK as well, and I'm the writer, director, and producer of All That Glitters.
And where are you?
In London, or Essex. Yeah.
Lovely. Welcome. And Michael.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Gamarano Singleton. I'm the writer, director, and co-producer of Denzel, and I'm also in London, England.
Oh my God. So exciting.
We're in different rooms. We're in the same house.
I love it. Well, Rebecca, you win the award. I think you're pretty far away, and you're also in tomorrow. So I have to tell you how exciting it is for me to do the international segment. Last year we did Q&As, and just with international and having you guys available and accessible is magical, and we really appreciate you guys. So to that point, I wanted to ask you, what does it mean for you to be in a film festival, and how do you select that film festival? It's really a curiosity for me. Personally, I'm very curious, and so I'm being edited, as you can tell. There's a lot of instructions about centering yourself and doing all these things, and I'm really bad with directions and such. So anyway, I'm curious about how you select a film festival, and what does it mean for you professionally and personally to submit into a film festival. And we're going to go backwards this time. So Michael, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure all the filmmakers can agree, like film festival, navigating through them can be quite tricky. And this is my second film, and my first one, I just submitted it to every film festival possible. And then you'd win these like awards, which is fine, but they'd be like these very small, minuscule film festivals. And this one, I was a lot more particular about what I selected. So I went for all the Oscar and BAFTA qualifying film festivals to start with. And then I looked at ones that have been going on for 10 years plus, because I just feel like the longer they've been going on, then the more experience there was. And that damn festival fell under that. So I was very selective, because the fees can really build up when you select a lot. So just the longest and most experienced festivals I went for this year.
Very nice. And Dan?
Mine's might be, cut me off if I go too long, because it's kind of strategic in a way. I think it depends on the filmmaker, and I think it depends on what you want to get out of it. So for me, it was kind of a mixture of things. So I would do the same as Michael. I'd look at all the BAFTA and Oscar and BIFTA qualifying ones, and some of them might not be appropriate to your film. So you kind of have to really read and make sure that they're right and everything like that. So if they are, then you'd go for them, and I did them as well. Then I would just look at what ones were, same as Michael, the history of them. Are they appropriate? Because sometimes you can just sort of just submit to something just because it's the top 100 or something on Film Freeway, but it's just completely inappropriate. Or you look at, I did quite a lot of research, and you look at what they did last few years and stuff like that, and go for the ones that aren't just these fly-by-night ones, but that sort of offer something more. Because if you get in, it's all about networking if you can go there. So some, it might be nice just to get a little wall, just so you can put that sort of laurel on your Vimeo thumbnail or something. But and you have to be aware. Sometimes it's good to do some of those ones, just because it's so hard to get into any festivals. But you got to look at it as if you got in, what could you get out of it other than just having your film selected? So if you went there, would it have panels? Would it have Q&A? Would there be celebrities? Would there be PR and marketing opportunities? So it's kind of all of that together. And then on the very superficial level, right at the end, is would I like to go there on holiday? Is it a nice little place? Could I go there for a few days and get all of the festival stuff out of it, but also have a nice little break and meet some like-minded, filmmakers? And
well, you could definitely come to Boulder City. It's a very cute little town. We'd love to have you. Well, that was one of the things too about being virtual. And I'm not going to assume that none of you would come all the way to Boulder City, but it's so nice to be able to have access to you guys in other countries. Of course, we look forward to welcoming you in person in Boulder City. So just quickly before I go to Steve, do you guys know each other? Are you familiar with each other's films at all? So sorry, Keith. This is exciting too. So it's like a conversation. So if you guys want to ask each other questions and bounce off of each other, please feel free to do so. So Steve, yes, tell us all about your selection process.
So yeah, I think I picked Dan because it was in Boulder, and I love Morgan Mindy, so I always wanted to.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard that connection before.
I just wanted to make sure that I was not available because of a pandemic. I waited all my life for this pandemic just so I couldn't go to film festivals. So me and the rest of the team who made Bottlehead, my partner who also worked on it, she had connections with Festival Formula, and so we sort of went through them, and they sort of curated, based off what our short was, what would be the best, most realistic approach to the festival circuit. Like I think it was Michael said, it gets pretty pricey if you just start lashing your film at every film festival. So we were very sort of keen to have somebody who actually knew what they were doing to sort of guide us through it. And I guess, I don't even think we made the movie to put into festivals. We just made it. And then we were like, oh, we should probably let people see it. And then so that was kind of the conversation. Yeah,
it's always like the chicken and the egg, right? Did you make the film to submit?
Again, I've got my best friend. We sort of, we like to think of ourselves as like the poor man's Steve Coogan and Rob Royden in The Trip. We sort of meet every week and bounce ridiculous impressions and ideas off each other. And then one time I was like, you know what, we should actually just do one of these skits that you've thought up. We should absolutely do. We've got all the means and all the know-how to do it, so we should probably just do it instead of talking about. So
just how many film festivals did you submit?
I'm not sure what the total is. I can probably tell you how many we didn't get in, which is probably about 70% of what we put in. So, God, I don't know. I wouldn't even like to say, like maybe like 70, I guess.
Okay. Well, thank your submissions panel, whoever chose us. Tell them thanks. We really appreciate it. We like having you.
Yeah, no, good. Thank you.
Rebecca, what was your thought?
Like Steve, I used a festival formula. The Finding is my second short, and I've also made a couple of feature documentaries, which have been on the festival round. And I realized that as the maker of the film, there comes a point where you sort of have to entrust it to somebody else, and their curation of the festivals to enter, as some of the other directors and producers have said, was really helpful. They know the good festivals, they know the ones which do good and interesting selections, and so that's been a really positive experience. And as a result, I'm enjoying experiences like this. Obviously, COVID's been a bit of a major spanner in the works, because there's nothing better than we would all like to get together and network in person. But it's fantastic, obviously, that there's the technology to enable us to do that. I'm a bit like Steve. I wrote the screenplay for my film, and it was something that I just had to make in a way to get out of my head. But then once you've made the film, you absolutely want to have it seen. And so there's no better way with a short than to do it through the festival circuit. And it's incredibly validating when you get a festival selection, when you wake up, as I usually do because of the time frame, wake up to an email saying your film has been selected for Damn Short Film Festival or whatever. It's just a massive pat on the back. I mean, we're all sort of at heart suffering artists, and there's nothing we like better than to get that sort of validation. So
isn't it funny how like you get really greedy as well though? I've got one, I'm really happy.
When you start out, you think, oh, if I could just get one, I'd be really happy.
Yeah.
And then once you have one selection, it's like, oh, I should be able to get another one.
I want them all. And Ben?
Yeah, me. Not wanting to sound like I'm repeating what's been said, but we went through festival formula as well, and that was because I knew the guys. I knew the guys who organize, who are in charge of it, and Sin is my second short film, and for my first one, I winged it. So I literally just submitted it to all the Oscar and the BAFTA ones, and to anyone I could think. Oh God, again, sort of thinking in mind, I'd made the best film of all time, and of course, I think it's a great film. So everyone else will like it, and then of course, it's them not selected. So on Sin, I wanted we wanted to be more strategic, and so going with the festival formula really helped us an awful lot, and they've been excellent. They've been really helpful.
I would say so. We've gotten 3 of you guys from festival formula. So, oh, hello, Celia. Welcome.
Hi. I'm so sorry. I was in the wrong waiting room, but here now.
Or in a different time zone. I'll come back to you in just a moment, but I do want to acknowledge Maria. She is a viewer that looks like she's from Florida. I'm not sure if you guys can. Yep. Can you guys see that screen? So I'm longing to see Sin, his film about Cynthia Lennon. I've been from one of your greatest fans in Florida.
Oh God. Yeah, she's lovely.
Hi, Maria. Well, if you have a question you'd like to pose to Ben or to any of the other filmmakers, go ahead and type that in, and we'll get back to it. So Celia, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself, your role that you play in the film, and where you are?
Sure. Yeah, and I'm Celia Jaspers in New Zealand. So we're in the future. It's Monday here. And I made a short film called Milk, which is only 5 minutes, but a very short, hopefully powerful piece about compassion and kindness. And I'm just really thrilled about how well it's been received around the world. And it seems a very global and appropriate message at this time that we're all going through. So it's been a really amazing experience.
Oh, it was a beautiful film.
thank
We actually
you.
just went around the room and discussed how you choose a film festival and what it means to you to be selected personally and professionally.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been in television my whole life, so I've had a lot of years in broadcast, and this has been the first foray into film as such. So it was very much the first dip into film festivals, and I had some great advice from the Show Me Shorts Festival here in New Zealand about which festivals to go for as well. And your name, I recognised the name. I knew that it had some prominence. I was really thrilled and to get accepted. That was amazing. But it is quite tricky at first, trying to wade your way through and figure out what one's the right fit for your film as well, and what's likely to be accepted, and just trying to find the most experiences you can, really.
Fabulous. Look, we have another guest. Oh my gosh. I don't want to butcher your name, so could you tell me how to pronounce your name?
Hello, my name is Ragne Mandri. I'm from Estonia. It's a bit tricky name to pronounce usually.
And are you in Estonia now?
Yeah,
Ragne?
as you can see, I have palm trees.
What time is it where you are? What's the time?
It's actually 10 p.m. Well, past 10 p.m. So it's evening.
Well, thank you for staying up late. Oh, that's late for me. I'm old. So if you would like to just quickly introduce yourself and the film and the role that you play.
I'm the director of Found You. I don't know how many actually saw this film now, but I'm the director. I co-wrote the story, and I don't know what else. Do you have questions? Maybe what do you want to know?
We will have lots of questions. Right now, we were just discussing how you selected the film festival. What is your process for selecting film festivals, and what does it mean to you professionally and personally when you do get selected?
Well, the first question is a bit tricky for me to answer since our producer actually did all the festival planning.
Fair.
So I wasn't really involved that much in that process. But I mean, it's always nice to be selected in festivals. So the film goes around, people see it, get visibility. It's great. And let's see. I mean, it's a bit sad, of course, that the festival isn't really happening live, I guess. Or is there a live part? I'm not even sure.
No,
but at the same time,
part.
I'm still here and I can meet all of you now. So this is still great.
Yeah. Obviously, it was a big struggle for us to make the decision to go virtual, but we've learned so much. We've had access to filmmakers all over the world that maybe we wouldn't have had access to before. This live Q&A portion is really exciting for us, and we hope to be able to continue it even in when we go back to the theater. So thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate it. Like I said at the top, there's a lot of us here, so I want to make sure that we hit some really important questions, and then we'll just quickly go around the room one by one. Let's see. Maria has a lot of stuff going on over here. Let me see what she said. Filmmaker. Do you have any filmmakers from Ukraine? Not on this one. I'm sure we do. Know that students of colleagues and universities here in the U.S. would enjoy seeing those short films. Oh, well, we have a lot of international films, Maria. So if you want to go to our website and buy any of our passes, let me tell you, we've got a lot of options, 140 plus films. So, all right, so back to questions. So we just talked about all of the festivals themselves, and I'm curious about choosing the format of a short film. Have you made feature film, longer films? Have you always been interested in short? Did the concept come first and turn into a short? So just give me a little bit of history and story with that. No specific questions, but just why short? what came first. And Steve, I'm going to start with you because the
Oh,
chicken and egg
dear.
thing. Come on.
Why short? Because it's cheaper than a feature.
Fair.
It's really weird. I had this sort of epiphany that feature films are now the new short because of the dawn of television box sets. To sit down and watch a 90-minute feature is like a new short because 90 minutes is going to be finished instead of your entire life. So a short is like a short now. So yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to do a feature film, but again, it's having an idea that I can sustain for 90 minutes on a screen or longer, which I don't know if I'm capable of. I don't know if my attention would last that long. Put something down. But I've always kind of liked shorts because I quite like really well done commercials. I think commercials, when they're done really well, are just like incredible. To get so much information and feeling and storytelling in such a short space of time. It's like a
Very
song.
impactful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a song. It's brilliant. If you can do it, then great.
You guys probably aren't familiar with the Super Bowl today. Today's the American Super Bowl, and I think it was 53% of viewers of the Super Bowl watch it for the commercials. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and for me, it's so there's so many surprises in a short. You go in, and I've watched all your films, and every single one of them, I was like, what? That was not, that was unexpected. So it's so powerful for you to be able to cram so much meaning and so many surprises into a short. So Rebecca, with The Finding, a little bit longer than some of the other shorts in this block, but short and very impactful, very moving. So talk about how you ended up with the short.
Yeah, usually with a drama, I mean, I work in both documentary and drama, and also now live, for making films of live performance. So I'm very much a believer of the format, like the story, the right format for the story. And this story came to me first of all with the characters, which is usually what happens with drama for me in my head. And I wrote the screenplay actually more than 10 years ago to begin with, and then just continued to work on it on and off until I was in a position to make it last year. So it's I don't know. You talk about, it sounds a bit woo-woo, doesn't it? But you talk about channeling, storytellers channel things, and so I think even in documentary, something like Ben's film, which sounds amazing, you're telling stories. It's an age old, it's as old as humans, and so sorry, I don't know how I got onto that, but I just think that a bit of a diversion. But short films are a beautiful medium in themselves, and as we all demonstrate here, you can get such diversity of storytelling in this perfect little capsule. I mean, I probably try and cram a lot in to my stories. The Finding 21 minutes long, which, to go back to our first question, was it's almost too long for some festivals. So some festivals have a cut-off limit of 20 minutes, I think, some of them. So, but at the end of the day, the story should dictate the duration and the format, whether it's a feature film or a short film or whatever.
So Michael, have you done, you said this was your second?
Yeah.
So your first was a short as well?
Yeah.
Your film took me completely by surprise. It was unexpected and it was amazingly powerful. So talk a little bit about the inspiration for putting that into a short format.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably quite similar reasons to others. One is just funding. It's very difficult to fund a feature film as opposed to a short. Like Denzel, we shot it in one day, and like when I tell people that, they're like, it's a 10-minute film all shot in like one very long day, which is you would never do that with a feature. So one is budget, and two, I think it's so important, and it's like a challenge to be able to tell an important story within 10 minutes, because usually feature films you get to go along with the characters and invest in those characters and then you see it. But if you can get people invested in your characters within 10 minutes, I love the challenge of that. And I like this idea that you can create these like really short, amazing stories that maybe wouldn't last into a feature film because the actual content isn't, you can't elasticate it as long. So you just get these mini amazing stories, and I absolutely love shorts. And my plan is to make feature films, but I don't think I'll ever leave shorts alone because I love these like sound bites and mini clips of great stories.
Yeah, agreed. And you know, the running joke at my house is I'm into shorts because I have a short attention span.
Yeah.
But then, you know, but there's so much information and there's so much depth to the characters and the story, and you know, that's not true anymore. Like my attention span is just captured, and I think Celia Milk is a great example of that. You know, it is an age-old message, and you were right early. You said it's something that we need, but it's just, I mean, it was heart-wrenching and in such a small amount of time. So talk about creating that as a short.
Yeah, no, thank you. And that was always very much the challenge. I wrote it coming back from the shop. So we just done our lockdown here, and I thought, gosh, I really want to do another short. I'd done one during lockdown for the 48-hour film fest, which had done quite well, and I, by myself basically. So I thought, crikey, I need to expand a wee bit. And just that idea of giving and sacrifice. And on the drive home, I was writing it in my head with my daughter, who's also the star of the film. She was with me, and then I got home and I quickly wrote it up, and it was only 2 pages, I think, 2 or 3 pages, and I had a bit of a tear. I went, gosh, there's some power in that. There's something amazing in that transaction of her giving it to him or giving up. And so I just literally went, wow, I have to make this. And then it was the how, and of course, being a short, I have a short attention span also for long shorts, so I find it hard to do a long one. I'm sorry, Rebecca. But so I like the 5, 7, 8 minute ones kind of. I think there's a good market for that. And certainly going into festivals, that the vibe I got was it's a lot easier to program. And you know, people watch things on their phones. You know, we're so short now with our attention span. So I think we're sort of training ourselves to watch short clips, which is a bit of a shame. But at the same time, if you can make a story powerful and work, and so you know these characters within the first 30 seconds, I think that's an awesome challenge and hopefully a skill. And that was so wonderful for me. I didn't know how well it would be received, so I was really thrilled when people got it and it's moved, and everyone in that little community in Martinborough where it was filmed gets shown publicly at the library now, and quite often on a Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and things, and people just absolutely love it. And sort of the vibe is everyone in town must see this film. It's sort of like a representation of our whole town. So for 5 minutes, I'm really amazed how much traction it's had, and that's just so lovely that message can move people that way.
Definitely move people.
Yeah.
Ben, your subject matter, of course, is one that's very familiar to everybody. So you crammed a very short, sweet message into your film. Talk about the inspiration for choosing a short and your history with shorts.
Shorts. Well, I've always taken the idea that shorts, because they are short, it forces you to be to invent, and you have to work with what you have. I think, as I said, Sin is my second short, and I think I took a lot of the lessons that I learned on my first film I took onto this, and that was always know exactly what you're going to shoot before you go in, I would say, because on my first film we had a 3-day shoot, and basically we ran out of time on day 2, so I literally had to tear out 3 or 4 scenes literally from the page on the day. Then and there I thought, okay, right, we're going to do this. So on Sin, we decided we're not going to do any of that. We're literally just going to say, okay, we're going to make sure we've got everything pre-planned and sorted out before we go in. But I also think it's but yeah, I would say the main thing is that it forces you to be inventive. I would say that's the main thing.
Very indeed. And last but not least, Ragnar, if you want to talk about, do you do shorts? Do you always do shorts? Have you done shorts in the past?
Yeah, I think I was trying to count while people were answering. I think I have done, like, this is my 8th or 9th short, but you know, they're all not like proper short films, but like some are like there's a fake trailer included, and there is some different kind of things. But yeah, around like 8, I would say. And maybe thanks to that, I wanted to try a thriller genre, because this one now is a genre film, and before it was more like drama or like quirky, cute stories. But like now I really wanted to try to create like something like with a very short time. I mean, it's still 15 minutes, but usually it's said that horror and thriller is not like very well functioning in the short. So I took it as a challenge, and I wanted to try it and to see if I can like get there. I think we did a pretty good job. But yeah, I have done also like TV series, so it's like two completely different things. I like them both, and now I'm writing actually my first feature film, so it's also like a completely new challenge ahead. So I like to try different things just to see like how
So
to
you and-
like some more like
That's a wide range, yeah.
exciting
So
to.
you and Celia have that in common, the TV background.
I'm sorry.
You and Celia have that in common with the TV
Oh,
background.
okay.
Sorry, I'm getting spoken to off camera as well. I have a question. There's an audience question. Hi, Maria. Maria says, how did each of you choose your subject and why? Yes, that is a great question. Some of you have touched on it a little bit just through the conversation. But yeah, very curious where the stories come from and what your personal connection is to it, why you chose that particular subject and why. And I'm actually going to start with Michael because that story was incredibly powerful. So is it a personal family friend? Because the pictures that were rolling after in the credits were very sweet.
It's not a family friend or particularly personal to me per se. There's a few inspirations behind it. There's one is because the show has actors with disabilities in there, particularly Down syndrome. And there's a dating show here in England, which is a horrible name called The Undateables, but it's I hate the name, but it's a show about people with disabilities dating. And there was one particular guy who had autism, and he went to his date and he got so nervous that his mum created him these cue cards, so just to remind him of questions. And he was like looking at these cue cards and he was look up, and I was just like, oh, that's such like a super sweet, cute idea. So that was like the first seed. And then the next one, there was a guy with Down syndrome who went on a date, and when he came back, the date didn't want to see him again, and he turned to his dad at the time, and he was like, "What's wrong with me?" And his dad was like, "There's nothing wrong with me. That you're perfect as you are," which is a line in the film as well. So between those two things, I really wanted to create a film about someone with a disability dating. And I also felt that there's a lot of actors who don't get that opportunity. I think it's something that is hopefully getting better, needs to be explored. But like there's a lot of people with a disability in the world, but we don't see as many on TV. So I wanted to make a film around that subject, and that was like the inspiration, and it was such a wonderful experience. And Jordan, who is the actor, it was his first film credit, sorry, and he was amazing, and he was like so warm and lovely, and yeah, and he's loving this ride as well that we've gone on, because the film went on to be like Oscar qualified and BAFTA qualified, and it's gone on to like quite big things, which is amazing. But it was almost like the best part was telling Jordan and his family, I was like, yeah, your film's going to be seen by the Academy now, or your film's going to be seen by the BAFTA people and stuff. So it was such like a sweet experience.
Very. Yes. You guys have to watch these films, by the way. You have to watch each other's films. Rebecca, talk a little. You did mention that you've been working on the screenplay for quite a while, for 10 years, did you say? What's your connection to the story? How'd you choose the subject, or did it choose you?
Well, I guess I did choose it. I mean, I think it's a bit of both. My story follows what happens when a teenage girl turns up unexpectedly on a remote farm in New Zealand's South Island, and what the reason for, and it turns out the farmer is her father, and then the reason for the estrangement becomes apparent in the course of the film. And this story grew out of a personal experience, actually, something that happened in my own life, and just made me think, well, what if this had happened? So I sort of took that personal incident and extrapolated from that into a story around some other characters. And the reason, I mean, I guess saying it's 21 minutes long and I worked on it for 10 years makes it sound like Gone with the Wind, doesn't it? But, it's just it was the right time to make it. We shot the film on 16mm film, so it has a very particular aesthetic or look, and I wanted to do that because I felt the characters were stuck in time, and that filmic look really contributed to that feeling.
Yeah, to that point, we've all been talking about how you have such a short window to cram so much into. So I can imagine that you're selecting the weather. I mean, the whole film had every component that just made me feel the pain of the characters, and it was the 16mm film. It was the weather. It was the dampness and all of it is just right on there, and it yes, all the feels. So yeah, success. Steve, I laughed out loud. Oh my gosh. How did you, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, that you guys write skits, and this is the one you picked, but.
Well, yeah, we do. But in all honesty, it was Pete who wrote it. It was kind of based on a dream that he'd had. Everybody's got these really serious stories, and I'm talking about a dream. He'd had a sort of semi-lucid dream about it, and I think it had come from a rather personal place of anxiety, and how hard that is, I'm guessing, in every country, not just the UK, to seek mental health is unless you've got mega bucks, it's the hardest thing in the world, and the hoops that they make you jump through in order to receive the help that you deserve. So it was kind of a farcical take on that. So that was kind of the connection, and just being a big advocate for mental health, full stop. And I think, again, I think with lockdown, it's really sort of pushed that to the surface for a lot of people as well. Their mental health, their mental being stuck indoors and not being around people. And I think also I was always really keen to do a short that was really simple. I didn't want to overcomplicate it. So the idea of just two people talking to each other over a desk really appealed to me. And again, I think it was Michael who said he shot his in one day. It was the same thing. It was one day. We just got everybody in for one day and got everybody out.
It was so good. I'll never look at ducks the same ever again. It's also very true. So, Dan, All That Glitters. What's your connection, inspiration for the story, and how did you pick the subject matter?
It's primarily about domestic violence and the effects of it, the mental health effects of it, and everything like that. That's the most obvious on the surface, thing that it's about, and that's touched my life in various ways. And it was something I wanted to, explore. And I'm trying to set up a feature at the moment, but I wanted to do this is my third short, and I wanted to do another short before that. And it was just the right format for it. And it's weird because I was going to be shooting it before the whole COVID thing and everything, but that kind of stopped the shoot for a while. And then we saw all these things here on the news of domestic violence rising during lockdown and everything like that. And it was just weird. It was very sort of, timely and everything. So I ended up shooting it in between lockdowns in October of 2020. And yeah, that's kind of like a not directly personal story, but like I say, I've been touched by this in various ways, and it was something that I wanted to tell, basically.
It's just, last year I watched a film also from the UK, and it was interesting so when I watched it, I got one message from it, and I was excited to be able to talk to the filmmaker and, what did I get out of your film? And then to hear them share what their messaging was. So in the onset of watching your film, I really related to the character because of being trapped and then making these assumptions of, my life is this way. And you're looking at other people's lives and thinking, oh, their lives are perfect, and
Exactly.
how wrong you were. So to be able to cross over and to share the perspective. So what
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say it wasn't necessarily about that being trapped or the perspective of the character. It was the domestic violence aspect.
No, it's when I say that to people, the most obvious thing is it's about domestic violence, and that's kind of like the subtext of it. But for me, the thing that brought it all together was it's about not judging a book by its cover, and it's like everyone has a story, and you think a stranger is one way, but you get to know them, and I use the theme of domestic violence as a way of linking these two very disparate characters. And show that actually they have more in common than you would normally think.
Yeah, that was great. Ben.
Yeah.
What's your connection to the story?
Yeah. Well, it's a funny one actually, because the entire thing started here on the Isle of Man, which is where I was born and brought up. Now, in terms of sin, it's about it's about Cynthia Lennon, who of course was John Lennon's first wife, and they met in the late 50s, and they were together until the late 60s. But of course, after they split it up, Cynthia had a whole other life after that. She went back to her artwork, and she moved around a lot, and one of the places where she did live for a while was the Isle of Man, and that was in the 1980s. Now, my parents have a clothing shop here, and we sell sort of ethnic stuff here. And Cynthia used to occasionally pop in. And she would pop in, and she just seemed like the most unassuming, lovely person. And she was also quite good friends with my parents' neighbours at the time, and they used to talk about her as well. And my folks saw her through there as well, and they always said as I said, what a really lovely human being she was. So sort of, she didn't seem like the kind of person who would have been married to a rock and roll star, so I always thought that would sort of something about her would just make a really good story, and so that was kind of where the idea it came from. Really, that was it.
So Cynthia. Wait, did you say that you've met her, or your family?
No. My parents did, but it was only sort of brief, kind of once or twice things. It wasn't like that they were friends or anything at all, and sort of nothing like that. She used to just pop in to our shop, and she'd just wander around, and that was it. And
so I watched it without realizing the connection with John Lennon. So again, I was saying earlier that there's this element of surprise in these shorts, and then when I was watching it, from a perspective of this, couple and them growing, and then it completely took me by surprise. So it was very, very well done. Thank you. Celia, you kind of talked a little bit about your inspiration for the film, but how do you pick your subject matter? And you transition from one TV to shorts, and so how did you pick your subject matter, and how do you pick your subject matter?
I think that story just found me, to be honest, and it was the right time. And a lot of people say, has COVID stopped you or slowed you down? And in a way, that was not the inspiration, but that was the genesis of this particular story for Milk. So I just think I literally just felt a vibe in the area and the world at that time. This was back in probably September or maybe July 2020, and it was. I just felt it was the right thing to do, and it was such a very strong moment. So I don't normally perhaps do stories like that. My television work's a lot of documentary type work and a lot of factual television, so completely different really. But it was Milk just found me, and that's what I said when I knew it, when it hit me. I went, oh, I've got to do this, and then it was the how do we do it from there, and we shot that in a day and a half for 5 minutes. So I feel like my ratio is a bit out compared to what you guys have crammed into your 10-minute films. But I was just lucky. I'm just about getting crew and people who could travel down to our area, and I did it for a zero budget. So it was all professional crew who knew me, who wanted to help, that was actually quite amazing, and really that's extraordinary part of it. And even I'm an editor, so I cut it, but I had some amazing post-production people who gifted their time as well. So it was it was an exercise in frugality. I think, how do we do this, but make this message get out to the world. But yeah, I've got a pile of other scripts on my desk, and more of a tragedy. I've got some children's drama. I've got all sorts of things going on. So I wouldn't say that I'm shoeboxed into one genre at all, actually. I love story. When I see a good story, I go, oh, that's a good hook. Yeah, there's something in that. And I don't think it needs to be constrained particularly.
You guys are the voices. They find you. And Ragnar, you talked a little bit about your inspiration, because you do have so many different genres and ideas. So where did this storyline come from? Or is it personal?
This is actually a very personal story to me, but my screenwriter was actually from Brazil, so she didn't know anything about Estonia's history. So for me, it's also a little bit of a historical film in a way, because it contains a memory of a feeling from my childhood, because I grew up in the 90s. This is the time when the Soviet Union crashed, and Estonia and the other Baltics became independent. And it was very actually scary time here for children and for everyone, actually, because all the Eastern European mafia started to come here. The system wasn't built up yet. Everything was built from scratch. So actually to experience it as a child was quite scary. A lot of people were murdered on the streets. It was like shooting was a regular thing on daytime in Tallinn. So it does contain a piece of history. There is also a character of a Russian policeman who is can he be trusted? So it's also this mistrust of Russians from that time that I remember. So there is pieces of Estonia's history put in this story for me. And also a personal story of I have a brother as well, of somehow juggling your way through it, and making the moral choices also if you're put in difficult situations, what is right and wrong, and if you are if it's about life and death situation. So there is a lot of different stuff for me personally. Of course the viewer will get something else from it, but it's that's the main.
This is why my favorite aspect is being able to talk to you guys. So when I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit. So in-person festival year, we really pride ourselves in hosting filmmakers and giving access to our audience members. We have mixers, we have a filmmaker lounge, and we noticed, like you said, the benefit of networking and finding each other and downloading with each other. So one of the things I'm missing is I love to watch those connections. And so not necessarily connecting directly with me, but watching you guys find each other, the kinds of questions, you go off in the corner and your heads are together and you're swapping, emails and whatnot. So this is probably dangerous of me to do here in this format, but do any of you have questions for each other? Wow. Oh, come on. Okay, here, let me set you up. We're in a bar. You look over and you're like, oh my gosh, I know you. Anybody?
How did you guys first start out?
Where did Steve get his top?
Dan, I'll go back to you. Quickly say that. What was your question?
I said, well, if I was in a bar and I was chatting to Steve, I'd say, oh, I like your top. Where'd you get
it? Ben, you had a question?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was basically, so how did everybody first start out, really? Did you guys did you guys do film? Did you guys do film at uni, or did you start on the ground floor, making tea and then working up? Or
I love that
how did
question.
that happen? How did it
Michael,
happen?
I'll start with you. Like, how'd you get here?
I did film production at university, but I think I applied to like every film school in London, and they all said no because I didn't have any experience. And then one of them, London Met, came back and said, "Okay, we'll give you a shot, but you have to do a write up about a film in detail. You have to submit a short story." And they gave me like these tasks to do, and then I was just like, you know what? Because I was doing sport at college, I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm going to back out. So I went and did sport at university, or at least applied to that. And about 2 weeks before, I had another break, and I was like, no, I don't want to do sport. I want to do film. So I sent him an email, and I made look of a horrible excuse. I was like, my grandma just died. I'm so sorry. Like, you can only use that once, maybe twice actually. I know it's horrible. You should never say that. But and then he came back and was like, "Oh, we're so sorry. We'll give you one more shot. We'll give you another week." And I had a friend who was studying film in college, and I paid her to write up her film like description. I wrote the short story, and then I managed like a week before I was going to go to London, I got into the film production school. So I like transferred quickly. So I did sport for 1 week, and then I did the 3-year film. And I just knew nothing. And I was like, I think the youngest on the course. And then after 3 years, I was like the director of the final year project. So because I was like super, super passionate about it. And I've always loved film. So like that was my entry. It was like I was so close to not doing it. But thankfully, I just like at the last second, like jumped in. And then the rest is history. And I've been working in and out as like first AD, director, sometimes producer for the last like 10 years or so.
Brilliant. Thank goodness. Ragnar, how did you get started?
Well, my story is not as exciting, but I did also start very young. When I was 19, I think I had just graduated high school, and I had just gone to from a little village, basically, to Tallinn, which is, well, not that big, but still, for me, it was a big city. And I just got into the film school, and since then I've been doing a lot of different things. Actually, for a young director at that moment, when I graduated, I was a girl with long blonde hair who looked like she's 15. So it wasn't like very easy to start to like be taken seriously instantly. So I've been doing a lot of like crew jobs. Then I got into television. I got offered like some projects as a director. So it kind of sucked me in for many years until we did some award-winning comedies here. So it was like, it really like got my career going until I realized I miss film a lot. So now I did another master's just to like go back to the people and the projects I miss, and just to freshen up like some of the know-how, how the industry works now. And so now I'm back to film, which is amazing.
Welcome back. Dan, what was your path to filmmaking?
So I went to art college and did graphic design and photography, but I always loved film. And we've got one of our main terrestrial channels over here is called Channel 4, and they did some short film challenge. And I wrote a short script. That was my first thing I ever wrote. Didn't get anywhere, but a few of my friends read it and thought, oh, this is quite good. And I thought, oh, you think, so it gave me the confidence to write a feature script. And I managed to get that to someone in the industry who liked it. And while that was sort of, getting handed around, I went to the New York Film Academy for a few months in Manhattan. Did a production course there where it kind of covers everything, and came out with that with a short film, and just sort of been working mainly as a screenwriter since then, but doing short films and moving into directing.
Rebecca?
My story is a little unusual, maybe. I started out at university studying languages, French and Italian, and when I did my master's in Italian, I studied the neo-realism films, and then did my thesis on the slasher films of Dario Argento, famous Italian director. And that got me interested in film. So after that, I studied film production. And then I went off and worked in the media and a whole lot of other areas. I worked in book publishing and communications, and I was a journalist, and you name it in the media. Basically, I did it, television work. And then a few years ago, I had the opportunity to make a feature documentary about a friend who is a pianist who went back to Italy to play a piano concerto. And I just thought, wow, I'm going to make a film about that. And so I was just at the time in my life where I had the opportunity to sort of, my kids are a bit older and that kind of classic story. And I thought, this is my time where I'm going to do what I want. And so I actually just made a conscious decision to start making films. I had a script produced on television drama, and since then I've made another feature documentary and 2 short films. So, yeah.
Steve?
So I left the UK when I was 19 to go to Hollywood because I had a friend who lived there. I had no inspiration about being in the film industry or anything. I was going to go there, hopefully job. I didn't know what the plan was. But so I went out there, but my friend out there, he used to do a lot of extra work. And so I kind of just illegally got paid to go and do extra work on features. And I think it was while there, I was just like, oh, this I could do this. There's some, looking at all the crew and just thinking, yeah. So I left Hollywood, came back to the only person to leave Hollywood to try and get back in. Back to the UK and applied for a ton of film schools. It's a very familiar story so far. Didn't get in any. And then I got into one in Newcastle, which is where I'm originally from. But I had no qualifications whatsoever. I wasn't a studious student when I was at school, so I left with no qualifications whatsoever. So lied on my application.
A lying going on.
Awful. It's the story of my entire career. I've just faked it till I've made it all the way along.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, did film production for 3 years. Learned everything to do with film. Came out, graduated in the dawn of the digital revolution. So all of that was absolutely unnecessary skill set that I've now had. I know how to load up 35mm, 70, 16. Nobody was using it anymore. So yeah, and then just started working as a runner, and then third AD, second AD, first AD. Directed my first professional gig probably like maybe 12, 13 years ago. I've been working in TV drama ever since.
I like that. Celia?
Yeah. Oh, I started a long time ago. I've actually been 30 years this year is when I started, so I was yet a baby. But no, I was 15 when I got not just an in at a local TV show here in New Zealand called What Now. And then, when I was 17, they offered me a internship basically for my first year out of school. All my friends were going to university, but there was nothing at university I wanted to do. And I knew film or TV at that point was what I wanted to do. And I made a short when I was about 15 on VHS and shot it on VHS. And I taught myself how to edit with SVHS machines and running things. It was just so awful compared to how we do it now. So, yeah, I just always been in it. And then I got an internship. TVNZ offered me a director's traineeship when I was about 19. And yeah, I've been directing for years and years and years, really, in television. But I did a bit of AD work, second AD and things on films and in commercials. And I just realised it's a bit like Ragnar was saying, when you're blonde and young as a woman, there's no way you can be directing. They just don't give you a chance. So I was 19. I knew I could do things, but there's just no way I'd get a go. And certainly going through crew, I didn't see that was the way for me. So I swapped over to television, where I had a much faster route into directing, and I was post-production supering and show running quite before I was 30, really, and doing a lot of factual kind of shows, and so hundreds and hundreds of hours of television later, I've sort of had this epiphany, and my children are growing up a bit now too, and I went, right, I really want, a bit like Rebecca's story, I need to have another crack at this before I'm too old, I feel like. But I think we've got the maturity now too, you know, would have been quite different as a 20-year-old trying to do those stories, and I know now we see things differently, and I've got an awful lot of technical skills. I'm an editor, and I shoot as well, and I've got all sorts of stuff going on, but all I think about a story and how to move the audience, and what are those craft skills? How do I put them into making the film work? So yeah, really fascinating. I'm really trying to get into episodic television over here in New Zealand, doing dramas. Of course, everyone would love to do a feature, but that's kind of pie in the sky. That's very hard to make that work here. But I'll do a couple more shorts. But I get lots of paying work in television, but I'm really trying to make it work into drama is where I'm trying to head to. So yeah, it's tricky, and commercials is what I'd like to do as well. But again, just trying to find the right opportunities. Actually, it's bloody tricky sometimes.
Ben, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to let you answer it.
Okay, right. Okay, well, mine's a bit of a weird one because I studied film at uni, and when I did my thesis, I decided to write it on Isle of Man film, because some people may not know, but there used to be quite a vibrant film world here, and there are over 100 films shot here on the Isle of Man, including films like Me and Orson Welles, Spooks, all kinds of great films here. And I, through doing my thesis, I got to know all of the guys who ran it here, and after I'd done my MA, I asked, is there any chance I could have a job, because I want to learn how to work on films on set, because I know the theory, because but I want to know how it actually works on set. And I had done some extra work as a kid, so I knew roughly where, how things work, but I wanted to have some actual hands-on experience. So I did a few runner jobs on a few films here, and then the same guy who got me that, he offered me a chance to be a script supervisor on a feature film here that was sort of a found footage horror film that was being made here, and then as I've worked on that, I then got the chance to go and do continuity on films in the UK. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I got onto a BAFTA crew scheme, which is a scheme here which is for up and coming people who work in film, mainly. And I then got to the point and thought, well, I'd actually like to go start making my own films. And so I wrote my first short, Pitfall, which was a survival Second World War film, and which was the one I was telling you guys about earlier. And I've never looked back, really. That is it. That was it.
I knew that this hour was going to fly by with so many. I have a list of 6 questions I haven't even got to. So thank you guys so much for submitting. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for your time. If you haven't yet, we do have our Discord channel open. You can find that on our website, and you guys can keep talking to each other. Our audience participants can find you there, and they can keep talking to you. And this is year-round, 24 hours a day, so it's there for you. And again, thank you so much. Oh, I have just a sign off and say something specific. It's the rules thing. I have problems with the rules. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I've thanked all the filmmakers, and our next Q&A session is me, actually. I'll be back at 2 o'clock, and I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys so much.
Whenever I'm with you, I am alright. There's something about the way you make me feel inside. I'm counting down the days till we fly away, heading to the sun, only you and me. Don't wanna waste another day being stuck here in this place.